I'm Ed Amoroso from Tag Cyber, and I'm here with my longtime friend, Tushar Kothari, who is the CEO of Attivo. Tushar, it's so nice to see you. How's everything going?
Very, very good, and always a pleasure to talk to you. So, looking forward to our conversation, and hope you're doing well as well.
Good. When you and I get together, whether we're just chatting somewhere or talking on video, we always get into a technical discussion, so it's going to be fun. But just to get started, there's probably some people who might like to know just briefly what you guys do at Attivo. You guys have been in business for a good long time. You guys are
Yeah,
experts. Share a little bit about what you do, and then I got a whole bunch of questions I want to ask you about Active Directory and
sure.
identity. But go ahead and share.
Yeah, awesome. So, look, we are a company focused on detecting threats inside the network, with with particular focus on lateral movement and privilege escalation, detection and prevention. Um, as you know, we have the industry's best deception fabric end to end, very scalable, starting from endpoint through Active Directory, cloud infrastructure. We can project decoys throughout the network in a very effective way. But more recently, we have added or enhanced our focus on credentials and identity. Because as we've been out in the market and talking to our customers and getting this one lot of feedback from our customers, we are learning that over the last couple of years, more and more advanced attackers are focused on going after identity, credentials, privilege escalation to organize and start their attack. And Active Directory is key part of that. Credentials is on the endpoint elsewhere is another key part of it. So in our goal to detect and derail attackers as early as possible, we have added the focus on credential and identity protection. And if I may just tell you, there are three key parts to that. First is to provide visibility to our customers of all the credentials and identity from endpoint through Active Directory and all the cloud infrastructure. Second pillar of our story is to help you reduce that attack surface by eliminating those exposures. And third is to help you protect uh, if somebody goes after your identity, credentials, Active Directory. And we think we have a most comprehensive and a very effective portfolio to do all three.
You know, when you first started telling me about the work that you guys are doing in this area, I was happy. Here's what I've noticed. Tell me if this makes sense to you. There are some techniques, offensive techniques, that you see that are very popular with like the less skilled attackers, but maybe don't scale up to the nation states. And sometimes you see the reverse. This stuff with with credentials and identity doesn't matter who you are, it always seems to work. Right? Whether it's a teenage hacker or a nation state, this area always seems to be involved somewhere. If there's a campaign, is that what you're seeing? It just strikes me that this has become sort of ground zero in almost every offensive campaign. There's identities, credentials, and in many cases, Active Directories. Has that been your sort of empirical observation working with so many customers?
Yeah, no, I think I completely agree with you. Look, let's just quickly talk about the last two headline attacks we went around in the news, several news cycles, right? First one was the stage two of the SolarWinds breach. So once the attacker got inside the network, what did they do? And a couple of the industry veterans, uh, you know, Kevin Mandia from FireEye and George Kurtz from uh, CrowdStrike spoke at the Senate hearing, and first 10 minutes they essentially said the attackers went after the keys to, like, once they get into your house, they were looking for the keys, and they both went in the elaborated how they went after credentials and identity. So that was a one. Second one, most recent Colonial pipeline attack. Again, they went after Active Directory. So repeated theme that they're going after identity and Active Directory and credentials. And so I think uh, you know if you want to defeat the attacker before even they get out of the gate, that's where you need to intercept them, because once you have the identity and credentials, then you have a lot better chance of succeeding as an attacker to get around. Without that, you don't know where you're going. So that's really what convinced us to do the series of innovations we have done in this space, and some of them are very effective and very powerful.
A question that comes up all the time for me is that everyone's made a massive investment in identity and access management. There isn't a single company, say in the Fortune 500 maybe, that doesn't have an IAM vendor, whether it be in the enterprise, it could be Microsoft, or it could be out in the cloud like Okta and these other companies that do this. What's been your observation? It seems like those companies are really good at provisioning and at doing the day-to-day administrative tasks that are required to manage identities. You think they've maybe fallen short on the cybersecurity part of it? Is that kind of the issue? Like they're good at IT, maybe less focused in this area? You might have expected that they would be doing some of this. What have you seen?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, some of the things they do inherently reduce the risk, the way they get provision and all that. But for an attacker who's looking to steal identity and credentials, their systems are designed to provision, not to prevent the identity and credential theft, which is where we come in, and the approach we have has been so effective.
I would imagine that with cloud, and it even sounds funny to say cloud because it's multi-cloud, it's SaaS, it's distributed data centers, it's virtual data centers. With all of that, stuff scattered all over the place, that credentials now have become the new thing, right? I remember you and I have been talking a little bit about the KIM model, right? That I think
Yep.
it's Gartner
Yeah,
cloud.
Gartner.
I can never get it. Cloud infrastructure, entitlement management, something like that.
Yep, that's correct.
That seems like a natural extension of the complexity. It's not so much that it's complexity because it was worse in the perimeter, but it is a lot of things that have to be coordinated. Is that all part of it? Like all the stuff we've scattered all over the place?
Yeah, in fact, our capabilities now extend from endpoint through Active Directory, and we'll be launching KIM capability in the next few weeks. So, goal is to really manage or detect and prevent attacks against identity and credentials, starting from endpoint through Active Directory, through all your cloud infrastructure. And KIM space has been defined by Gartner for some time, and there are a few players in there, but they only focus on the cloud. What really happens is the access to the cloud starts from the endpoint. Your endpoint stores some of your access keys and various things to go to the cloud. So if you don't have visibility into what's happening into the endpoint, then you are missing a big part of the picture, and the real theft or attacker can organize himself or herself from the endpoint and then come to the cloud. So we are unique in the sense that we protect or give you the visibility and protect from endpoint through Active Directory and all the different flavors of cloud infrastructure. So that's really what we do.
It's refreshing that you guys are doing attack surface reduction and visibility because those are kind of preventive. I have to be honest, I've been concerned that there's way too much emphasis on letting an attack happen and then just waiting and responding after you've lost all your data. It seems like it would be nice maybe to not lose all my data. That might be a good goal time to time. So I'm glad you guys are focusing on maybe trying to help stop some of these things from these campaigns from being successful. Do you agree? Like I'm all for detection and response. You have to do that.
Right.
I'd rather not give up and say we can't stop some things. I think you can stop some cyber attacks.
Yeah. No, I think and I completely agree with you. So there's so much we do, and I'll give you a couple of examples, right? On the Active Directory, for example, once an attacker gets onto one of the endpoints through phishing email or some other method, then the next thing he does is he'll query the Active Directory to find where the domain admin credentials and domain controllers are. What we are able to do is right at that point, we're able to detect that malicious query. And then when the Active Directory gives a response, we actually obfuscate that response and show alternate reality to the attacker, so he never gets that information he's looking for. And if you think about it, it's a little bit like the Patriot missiles intercepting the incoming rocket. And it's been very effective capability, so that attacker can never get the information he needs. And likewise, some other capabilities we are introducing, for example, for ransomware. Um, so most ransomware attacks, by the way, start from Active Directory. First, they go after the Active Directory and then spread laterally and then start the encryption process. So if you think about ransomware, the most common thing about all ransomware attacks is, guess what? They have to encrypt the files to get the money, right? Doesn't matter what signature you use, what behavior you used, what new malware you came up with to, you know, do what you do, but in the end, you have to find files, folders, and encrypt. So what we have done is we have come up with a foundational capability where we hide the files and folders. So as soon as you've managed to evade all the defenses, get onto the endpoint, and now you're looking for the files and folder to start your encryption, there's nothing on the endpoint. It looks like blank. And then we put one or two fake uh, files and folders, and if you start encrypting that, which there's no legitimate reason to be doing that, gives us a valid conclusion, and we kill the process. So, our recommendation to our people or customers is, and the government is, hey, you put all the capabilities you do to detect ransomware, match the signatures, behavior, and other things you do, which is all good. But in case somebody made it through, because the attackers know all these things and they practice against that and find ways around it, right? Every attacker knows that you have your EDR and they know which EDR vendor you are using. So they can get that EDR and practice against it to make sure they don't get detected or trapped. But once they get inside, they have to encrypt. And that's where we come to play, that we fundamentally, you know, change the game. Because if you can't encrypt, you can't ask for money, and ransomware becomes useless because it can't find any files and folders. So we become very good over the last 2 years in detecting and hiding stuff. So another example of the hiding, like if you try to steal credentials from the endpoint, right? We have now learned to hide all the credentials. So you just won't find the credentials on the endpoint. If you do memory dump or any of these other techniques, that attackers do to scrape the memory or find the credentials, we have come up with a technique where we won't let you look at your Zoom credentials unless you're coming from Zoom.
Mm.
So you can't just write a script and say, let me see what Zoom credentials are stored on this PC, right? So we've completely taken that ability away. It's all hidden. So this ability to fundamentally hide things and detect and derail attackers is very, very powerful, and just makes it very difficult for any attacker to succeed against us. In fact, our track record against world's best red teams has been 100%. We never missed an attack, or we never missed a red team detection. And we have had red teamers go after us announced, unannounced. We told them that, or some of our customers, we told them that Attivo technology is deployed, and still they've not been able to evade us or overcome us because we are so good, so authentic. And so just the value of our technology is just rising rapidly.
It's fun to listen to you talk about the technical approaches that you're taking here, because I listen to all of them. I know the industry well, know what people are taking. And I like the idea that the background that your team has providing deception solutions, you see it sort of pervade some of the strategies you're following where it makes
Yeah,
sense. I think that's
yeah,
nice. I love the idea of that concept, the deception, finding its way into some of these add-on problems. That's very refreshing to hear, because we need, let's face
yeah,
it, we need some new approaches here. This has
yeah,
not been a good 2 years for the cybersecurity community. Here we're speaking in mid
yeah,
2021 now, and it's not been a good couple of years. So it's very refreshing to see how you guys are
yeah.
approaching it.
And look, and I think completely agree with you on that. And it's about changing the game on the attackers. So deception is a powerful technique, and we use that whenever that is the most effective thing to do. But we're not limiting ourselves to just that, right? So we have a new product called AD Assessor,
Mhm.
which essentially goes and evaluates your Active Directory for all the vulnerabilities and things that are exposed, and then we give you recommendations on what you should do to remedy those Active Directory exposures, vulnerabilities, and then we monitor your Active Directory for future attacks. Less deception in this scenario, but it is uber important to know what's exposed and erase or remove those vulnerabilities. It's about attack surface reduction. So our goal is, hey, let's whatever is needed to solve the problem is what we are committed to. And if deception is the right technique, we'll use that. In this case, it's all about our expertise on Active Directory, how to read it, how to analyze it in a very effective manner. We do some 70 checks, give you an immediate report in within an hour, make you recommendations on how to fix some of those things, best practices. We'll even generate some scripts so you can run those to clean up. And then if you can't clean up some things, our other technologies will help you obfuscate those exposures. So really end-to-end comprehensive capabilities and story.
Where should somebody go to get information? Would like your website be the right place?
Yeah, our website has all this information. AD Assessor is a great technology, very easy to deploy. You don't need to deploy it in all the endpoints, anything like that. All you need is from any computer, you can come to our website, SaaS portal, download a library on that endpoint, and from there, without requiring any special privileges or anything, just read access is enough for us to give you this full analysis within an hour. So the total time from start to finish is less than 2 hours, and you get full value of the capabilities right away.
Well, Tushar, congratulations on all the new work. It's always fun to catch up with your team. You guys always have some new set of capabilities. And I like it because the capabilities, certainly in this case, are driven by real problems.
Yeah.
These are the kinds of things that I see every day. And they're frustrating because when you see the same problem being used over and over, like with Kevin and George doing their testimony, it's hard to watch,
Yeah.
because it's not like they're revealing some new thing. Like I cringe when I see that because you could almost tell me if there was going to be an attack next month, I think I could give the testimony today explaining what happened.
Yeah, that is so well articulated, Ed, and I think that really speaks to the stage where we are in the cybersecurity and why the enterprise and government need to be more um, smarter about this. I mean, we've been deploying firewalls generation 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 forever. I think of firewall as a toll booth in the middle of the desert and hoping everybody goes through that.
That doesn't work out too well. So, well,
No,
listen, next time we come together, here's what we'll do. You and I will pre-film some testimony on the next attack, and then we'll just have it ready. We won't have to watch.
Awesome.
Listen, on behalf of my team at Tag Cyber and everybody watching, always a delight to catch up. You're so much fun to talk to, and wish you well with the new products. I have a feeling that people who've been using your team to help reduce risk for years, they're going to like this, especially the Active Directory work. That sounds great. So I hope you get a lot of calling, and I'll encourage everyone watching, give you guys a call.
Great. Thank you so much, Ed, as always, and your feedback and insight has really helped us become who we are. Thank you.
Nice to catch up. And for everyone else watching, we'll see you next time.